Hello, everyone, and welcome to tennisplayer.net. I'm Joel Drucker, the executive editor, and this is our podcast. Our latest issue is all about directions and ground strokes, and I'm pleased to be joined by someone who knows a lot about ground strokes. Andrea Barnes, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Joel.
Well, it's great to have you here, and Andrea is provided us with a really interesting article. This is an article about a shot that she and I both know is significantly neglected. And there's a great opportunity to deploy this shot more and more. And that is a slice backhand. So, Andrea, tell us a little bit of what you see as the primary value of the slice backhand.
Well, I think it's always been a valuable shot because you can do a variety of things with a fair amount of disguise. You can hit a drop shot, you can hit a penetrating slice, you can create really good angles off of the slice. But I think in today's world, one of the prime values of the slice is that the ball stays low on the bounce. And if you're going after a player with a fairly extreme forehand grip, it's tough for them to get that racket face under that low ball, as opposed to a topspin backhand that's sitting upright in their strike zone. So I think you can really use that slice.
Well, I think one we saw quite frequently for many years at the highest level, Roger Federer would slice his backhand cross court, and
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't that deep. It was more low
Mm-hmm.
and short.
Mm-hmm.
It was always low, but it was short, and that forced the two-handers to have to dig it out with their backhand. And you tell me, we were talking earlier today about the down the line. Why don't you tell us a little about that?
Well, I think the thing that's nice about the down the line is that it sort of forces you into good stroke production. You need to get your shoulder really turned. You need to load your weight on your back foot well and get right behind the ball and just slide that racket from 12 o'clock at the top of the ball right down to 6 o'clock, and you can hit a very, very effective shot.
Now, you and I grew up in an era where people had one-handed backhands. It became very natural to let a shot, particularly since we were volleys. It's a natural. I look at the slice backhand as kind of a sibling of the backhand volley. They're very closely related.
Very similar.
But we're in an era now where more people have two-handed backhands. So why don't you talk about how you go about teaching someone to learn this shot, and if you want to demonstrate certain things with your hands or any other parts too.
I think with a two-hander, it's pretty difficult to hit a really good slice. So I recommend that people try to figure out a way to teach themselves, especially on the down the line, the one-hander, so that you can set your hands up together, do what I call air your armpits. Let your just hands going opposite direction to counterbalance, keeps you turned. You don't want to be opening up towards the net with your body as you hit. You want to be staying sideways. And it works both going down the line just on a normal ground stroke, but also very effectively on the approach shot. It's a ball you can kind of move through as long as you maintain that sideways stance.
So for the teacher listening to this, and by the way, I neglected to say, Andrea is a lifelong teacher. She's been teaching tennis for nearly 50 years, I believe. Is that about right? 50 years.
It's pretty scary, but yes.
50 years. Andrea played number one at Stanford, has won many national titles, represented the U.S. in international team play. And I can tell you this firsthand. She has terrific slice back, and I've seen it, and it's it also a shot that can disguise things well, can disguise a drop shot, can become an approach shot. But let's go back to the teaching component. So if you're talking to a teacher now, what should they start the student to do?
I would have them start already loaded on their left foot. We're going to assume everybody's a right-hander. I know that that's discriminating against some of you. Uh, um, but
You're saying that because I'm left-handed. You're being polite to me. But let's just go for a right-hander so you don't have to repeat yourself.
Sure. I would have them start having made their unit turn, probably start in around the service line. And they're going to load that left foot, get their hands back, both hands together up here, and step as the ball bounces and play the ball right about opposite the front foot, and just coming from that 12 o'clock to 6 o'clock position as you go forward into the ball.
Well, I think the 12 to 6, but it's also there's there's a body movement component to this too. So we're not just hacking
Oh
down
yeah.
the ball, right? We're
No,
moving
the weights, yeah, you're loading the back foot, and as you hit, you're transferring to the weight to the
the
front foot.
the
But the
grip.
transfer is relatively late. I mean, relative to, I think, especially to a like a two-handed cross court, you're going to stay on that back foot a little longer.
Why is that? Why do you think that? I agree with you. I agree. Why is that? Why do we stay a little later on that? Why do you think that is?
I guess you used up your potential energy if that weight transfer happens too early. We want to hold on to it a little bit longer.
Well, and one of the advantages of the slice backhand is we can hit the ball later, so we can disguise the opponent. I mean, the
Hmm.
slice backhand very much lends itself to what they call holding the ball.
Hmm.
Waiting, you're not actually holding the ball; you're just delaying the point of impact, and you have
Hmm.
that racket face. You're in the continental grip, right?
Hmm. Yep.
Continental grip, and uh, and what are some simple drills that the teacher can do to start building this skill?
Well, I like to just do it short court and just bump underneath it a little bit. Frankly, I would advise people to consider beginning it with transition balls, probably not red balls, but possibly orange balls that are going to bounce a little bit lower, and you're just going to come under the ball and bump it back and forth and try to see that spin that's getting created a little bit. If you do use transition balls and you can find one that are multicolor, those work great for allowing players to really see what spin is getting created on the ball. Most clubs have them available in their teaching pros baskets. You could probably borrow some if you wanted to. But I just love that little bump ball, almost like drop shots, but not quite drop shots.
The world class version of a certain kind of slice backhand is Stephanie Graf with a lot of slice, and it really bit into the court. And she used that as a combination to set up her forehand.
Hmm.
But how do we? That's a world class version, though. On the other hand, every Sunday morning, at least people over 40 or 50, you see people they're getting the inside too much. What do you do to avoid that so it doesn't become just a hack? So it becomes actually an effective shot, a productive shot.
I think one of the real keys is making sure that you do stay sideways a lot longer, play the ball a little bit later. I think when it gets sloppy is when people are reaching too far forward to make contact. A lot of the time, their weight is transferred. All they've got left is kind of arm. They've got to keep that shoulder around and drive. Once that racket starts, they've got to stay sideways. And I just can't overstate the value of that left arm staying back behind you,
Using
not
the
opening up.
non-racket arm to kind of create that kind of oppositional force,
Yeah, yeah, counterbalance. Yep.
the counterbalance that really bites into it. So what are some drills that the teacher does? They start with hand feeds. Do you do a short court or
I think you could start actually one step further back, which is bumping the ball up with your racket. So getting the racket face open, just as you would sort of bounce it up, or you would on the forehand side here with the palm up, but you're doing it backhand side up, and just feeling that ball get brushed under the strings a little bit. It's a little tough to control for new players who haven't done it before, but you can start to see that spin and just you can do it sort of endlessly once you get the feel of it. But even if you're having trouble keeping it on the racket, you can just begin again and feel that little bump up and see the spin going, and then advance to find an find a partner. It doesn't work great, frankly, on a backboard. I would say it's better if you can find a partner, or maybe a ball machine. Um, and off that nice soft ball, just little bumps, and then gradually get yourself expanding the stroke a little bit, but really looking, keeping that head down and seeing whether you're creating the spin.
and you think it's good to start off learning it hitting down the line more and then what do we need to keep in mind if we're learning to hit it cross court?
I think we need to understand that we don't want to open up too early. I just can't overstate the value of keeping your weight back a little bit longer on the slice, and then not letting your body keep rotating forward so much. So again, this air the armpits thing. No, I'm saying that a million times, but I think it's really valuable. And just hitting a little around the outside of the ball. You don't have to be way out there. You're going to be hitting wide a lot. Just a little around it, sort of contacting it at about 10 o'clock and coming gradually over to about 4 o'clock.
Is there a drill or a game that a junior player who wants to learn and integrate the shot that they could do? Is there a game or a drill you suggest?
Well, I think I just think doing short court service box to service box on the diagonal and then or on the down the line. And so you'd have one player hitting forehands or unless they step out into the alley, one in the alley, one in the doubles, or in the service box, excuse me, so that their bodies are facing one another and just hitting along, trying to hit that single sideline. So you're hitting that one straight and then doing the same thing. I really believe in short court and then backing up, extending the shot, gradually getting feel for making the slice go a little bit deeper, but start short.
And what's your advice again for teachers as they teach this? There's the initial phase of with the bumping and the hand feeding. What more things can they do to have the student do it even better?
Well, you've got to get them moving, and they've got to get that sense of that strong shoulder turn, good load. It's not a shot that really works well with an open stance. They've got to get themselves around, get that back foot behind the ball, and then sit themselves down. That's the other piece too. Load that weight. Get yourself down, get your knee bend in, and then attack it pretty aggressively to get a sense of what you want to get out of that field. Don't be afraid to make errors when you're practicing. Go after it a little bit and see that spin on the ball.
We mentioned Stephanie Graf and Roger Federer. Are there some other people you've been around the game for so long who you would recommend people watch, take a look at YouTube?
I think those are your best people to look at. I think you can stop right there.
Wow. So all right. So Stephanie Graf, yeah, Roger Federer. Well, between them, they only won 40 Grand Slams.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, not bad.
That's not bad. But you see, even the way it worked for at certain points in his career, Nadal integrated, used a slice backhand.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't quite as it was new to him. It was a different shot to him than it was to Federer Graf, but he used it too. It's a transition shot. It's a shot that helps you build points, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So, all right. Anything else you want to add about teaching or learning the slice backhand?
I'm
It's all
sorry
right.
if my cat is disturbing you.
Don't worry about it. It's okay. So, what's the cat's name?
That cat is named Black.
Okay, I thought you were going to have some sort of tennis term for it, but
No. No, he's just Blacky Black.
any other thoughts on the slice backhand?
I just think that it really is an underused shot, and I think it's so valuable against the modern forehand grip that it's worth everybody spending some time playing around with it. Frankly, playing short court with slices on both the forehand and the backhand side is big fun, where you can't win a point by hitting a hard ball. You've just got to dink it around. And it's really fun. It's a great way to warm up, and I think everybody will gain value in their normal game by playing that short court game.
Well, terrific. Andrea Barnes is a great article in tennisplayer.net about how to teach the slice backhand. Lots of insights into what makes the shot effective, productive, and how you can teach it. So thank you, Andrea.
You're very welcome. It's been fun chatting with you, Joel.
Thanks.